I mean, I'd like to say that I'm close to finishing. I'm not sure. I mean, there's one more chapter, and then there's like the end of the first one, and I know it kind of like goes into the second one, which I guess. See, I'm trying to debate whether I should like take a break after finishing the first one and then like play something else and then come back to it. Like, I don't know if that's like appealing where it's like, oh, I just play every like there's like an Ace Attorney game for every like cycle of games that I have that I'm thinking of playing, you know. Same with Baten Kaitos. Like, would I actually just like right after I finish the first one, would I just start playing the second one? I don't know. That game is kind of lengthy now at this point. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like, maybe if there's like super duper like unanswered questions or whatever, then I can just roll into the second one. Because they're already packaged in one game anyway. It's the same with the other one, but Baten Kaitos is like way longer than this. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Hello, sir. Oh, I guess we can look at it. I meant to give it to him, but this is a 5-shilling piece, isn't it? I believe it's called a crown. Yes, and you can train a Scotland Yard detective to do whatever you want with just a single one. Iris must be the most powerful 10-year-old in the world. How much is 5 shillings, by the way? What's it really worth? Well, it's probably enough to buy all the chips the inspector could possibly eat in a whole month. That's greasy. Iris's little handwriting is adorable, isn't it? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem. Yes, the handwriting might be adorable, but the message is ominous. There's no room for sentiment there. I'm sure it's simply the way you're interpreting it. Anyway, I do hope the inspector will tell us what we need to know when he reads it. You don't think it'll just make him munch piping hot chips until steam comes out of his ears, do you? Well, that wouldn't be an entirely terrible outcome. Okay, here you go. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here, at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Now don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee. That's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see, you mean... That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time. Yes, of course, I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I am sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously, it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ah, the little knife-wielding, mustached Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there. Look. On the first floor of that house on the corner where that wreck of a bicycle is propped up. That is nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garadeb. Right. Well, if you see her again, make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yeah, so then, shall we go see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Definitely. Okay, but there's a wrecked bicycle. Oh, a British bicycle. Look. Although, the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you'd ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me. We'll have to hire a we'll have to hire a bicycle sometime? You can... Oh. Maybe it's just the English. Like, usually you say you rent a bicycle, right? I don't know. Maybe the English was weird there. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Oh, look at the windows of that building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy. Well, it is known as foggy London town. I can just make out some sort of spire through the fog. It looks like it's still being built, though. Aha! Yes, that must be the Crystal Tower being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently, it's going to be very striking, glazed on all sides, and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exposition in history, isn't it? Oh, is it? I can't even begin to imagine. Okay, let's go inside his house. Or his apartment, his flat. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. According to Inspector Gregson, that's the house where Mr. Natsume has lodgings. Just across the road from where the incident took place, I see. Must be awful for Soseki getting caught up in something like this in a foreign land. It's like the very first locked up abroad. May I help you? Ah, yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Garadeb? Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling? My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb. Did you see that, Miss Susato? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now. This way. That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner. Yes, it's displayed with some pride, I would say, although it bothers me that it's not straight. What? That old thing? Sorry? I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of my way. So it's just been polished to shine by accident, I suppose? There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, "For distinguished participation." Sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in the line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a very quick look. Just a little peek. Ahem. Maybe let's not. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Ahem. There's like a candlestick though on the thing in the thing. Whatever, it's not important. Oh, look. What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up, it looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is Mr. Garadeb's custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, and it would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Garadeb doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is... oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. Ah, I wonder... perhaps the cannon was fired at it. Yes, probably something like that, but let's not delve too deeply here. That uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Not much better than rags, really. Oh? Wore that ceremonial garb at my retirement bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past, me. Yeah, would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, it doesn't hurt to have the old odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. That's a full-size cannon. What's it doing in here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? That's little more than a toy. Sorry? The army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house. Really, it isn't overkill? Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy. Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Garadeb? Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well on the cannon there, Joan tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. I noticed you have a pile of books here, Mr. Garadeb. Do you enjoy reading? Ever experienced a London winter, boy? The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book. Oh, There's a copy of Rand's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garrideb enjoys the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, too. The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. Okay, was that it? Oh? Are those mortar shells? They're enormous. Oh, I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here? Ah, those old things? A couple of little rounds I accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of a colorful regiment folklore, that incident. Oh, yeah, whatever. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately, exactly. They're only scrap iron, after all. Usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things might come in useful, do you? Useful for what, exactly? Yes, well. Joan here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting. Oh no! Hadn't shed a tear since 1869, before then, you know. Maybe reconsider throwing them away? That portrait of Mr. Garrideb is glaring at me, I swear. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Garrideb as well? Yes, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well. Ah, yes. Seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. In point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. The lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements. It's just Sato doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Okay, I think that was everything, and I can't point at this even though it's on the floor. Oh, and I can't even talk. Good day to you, John Garrideb at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of my wand, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise. Ooh, do you think so? Well, Mr. Garrideb, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol? Folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Dash it all, woman, be careful. Oh, dearie me, I do beg your pardon, sir. You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. I shall be more careful, sir. So, anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now. Yes, I see. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware, so this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know. In this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of Rand's magazine here, so... No. Anyway, the chap's investigation investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Soseki's room. It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all its fuss. It's jolly unsettling. About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garrett, please do tell us. Yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then. I have 2 lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. There'd been... Dash it all, Joan, do be careful. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes. Oh, yes, indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Oh my word, yes, the man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is, more than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night, but I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Oh. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh. I'd understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct? That's right, yes. They're both below us, on the first and street level. Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example. Even the times they go to bed. Good grief, Joan, be more careful, woman. Oh my goodness, sir, I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out the window at around that time? The window? Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garadev household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour, and with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as? Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well, yes, was there something? Well, it's not particularly significant, but around that sort of time in here, there... For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing. Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. Do be more careful, woman. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow... Oh, yes. I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Oh, really? Mr. Garadev? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really nothing of... Joan, dash it all, what's the matter with you, woman? Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Joan. That's right, Mr. Garadeb. What is the matter with these two? It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what? I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on? Why, certainly, just below us on the first floor. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as we speak? Yes, told me Nat's his name, had asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services? That's a plain lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean? Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. It's so dark in here, too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garadeb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in a position to comment. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say anything. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mike, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan? That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe, for me at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. So reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, and the date of purchase 2 days ago at 4:45. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Oh, now he's here. Hello. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Aha! There he is. Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, you too. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria. Yes, of course, the Buria. And let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died. Tragically, but you were a great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh, well, you seem to remember something of it at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki in that short an amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure titled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines, but Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking Susato squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh, how? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man fleeing the crime scene. Oh, a man seen fleeing? There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there's a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit, then? That I could not tell you, but it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books. I found myself quite lost in I know, like, whatever. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh, dear. Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution, that is the services. And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution, that is service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may be well aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing? Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea, and it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs, specifically in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garadeb. Oh. Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one. But sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely, not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home, perhaps, rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So, some 40 years ago, the thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients, to trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garadeb is? Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. As yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garadeb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. You pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forgot his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... For the upteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bally-well doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you'd be so kind. Oh, yeah, sure. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck in all that. Perhaps you can see yourselves out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb is hiding something, and since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Also, he showed up. What the fuck? There's this thing on the floor. Hello, sir. What are you doing? What's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing by the window? I am given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well, keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London. And one other thing. I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes even see the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared? I think so. There's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerable distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon. The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Look. The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. What? Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me that with one glance in your direction, it is. Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb, at Batty's Circus. A traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lions, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I had made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man, I simply... But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain? And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given the rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well... Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at that tower of cakes. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need to spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but could I make an observation? Why, certainly. What is it? Again. Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this room, surely Mr. Garrett and his maid would have been hurt, or worse. Ah, that's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Miss Susato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight a slight massage. That's all Mr. Shom's deductions need. You can't do it. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least, that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. From the beginning of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Okay, it certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage. Thus we are faced with the question, what form this beast might take? For a man with a military hand, your furtive glance, Mr. Garrett, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garrett's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yes, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? We must follow Mr. Garrett's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. Behind the lion statue on the mantelpiece, almost deliberately hidden from view, is a photograph. Though I believe I have yet to examine it in detail, I can assure you that it holds the answer. Because I'm employing an extremely advanced detection technique called jumping to conclusions, you see. That deduction was wanting in every way. Oh, maybe I had to look at it first. Maybe that's why. I had to click it. It was there, though. It was literally there. Okay, click it first. What's this photograph? It appears to be from Mr. Garrett's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply here. Oh, there you go. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant there is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garrett. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Oh, indeed. Surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Honored might be stretching a point. Too late. The fact remains that the beast which so clearly savaged this room was your wife, Mr. Gardev. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well. Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Okay. Your dress pocket. The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyway, Mr. Shulm's quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Gardev anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Gardev's wife could be. Oh, and I can't zoom out. What is it, though? That's what I want to know. That certainly does appear to be a circus handbill poking out from her pocket. Batty's Circus, currently performing shows in a park not far from here. You don't think... Surely Mr. Gardev didn't sell his wife to the circus. How could you even think of such a thing? I was only joking. Besides, I would have gone with, do you think he fed her to his pet lion? That's somehow worse. She's wearing a very large ring. Look. Oh yes, a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishments. And it's on the ring finger of her left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring. It looks like it's on there for life, too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size. That's something to think. That's something to think, to not to say. Do you know Mr. Gardev's wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one? It was a large sunflower design as well. Really? You have a great memory for these things. A large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it? Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Gardev's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Gardev's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Gardev herself. Oh my word. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is the wife. Yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corker back. It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though, in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. You mean Mr. Gardev has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Gardev? Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garredeb's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mrs. Garredeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garredeb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joan Garredeb? Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. How the blazes, how did you work that out, man? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garredeb to fly into a rage. Ah yes, we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills. Didn't Mr. Sholmes say the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed, which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garredeb's wife. She's a person, not a thing. Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I'd love to know the answer to that question. Someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here. Look, Mr. Garredeb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then. Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here? But I don't know the ballet woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say. That's right. That's what I've been saying. A likely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at the second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there. So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right, that's what I've been saying. A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you've forgotten, is John. A likely story. Are you questioning my name now? And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions. Arouse the suspicions of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with a most ferocious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. To explain the dire state of the carpet, we no longer look at the Tower of Cakes. But surely Mrs. Garrett didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholm's deduction that we need to fix. We only need to follow Mrs. Garrett's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer. Alright, let's see. Maybe it's... I can't look up and down, so... This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder? Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need to only look at the candlestick. It's turning into Clue. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Marshall. Mrs. Garrett's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused the candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room was in flames. Yes, for the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion or a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Mr. Sholmes, sir, I salute you. It's these dash-long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material, for which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished, but demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an apt... Here we go again. And the carpet? Was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Over here? Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Had all my favorite old novels in that case, but as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Gosh! Then the wife started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I. There was I, backed up against the window under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, a book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Ah, yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of this ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage, flames everywhere, and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of the day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5? So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes? What can I do for you? Well, I think we've got to get to the bottom of Mr. Garrett's situation now, but what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man may be, to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Now, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only 2 categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry, visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. Perhaps you'd like to betake yourself to bidding us farewell now? I must prepare supper for Mr. Garredeb. Oh yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Soseki will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. It's time. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a cab. Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garredeb's house. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in our philosophy. Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me? Eh? Who are you now? I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here is a lawyer, you see. Eh? A lawyer? What? If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Fine, I'll be on me way. I'll be on me way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet. Get thee to a nunnery. Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle. Thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Gerardeb's residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Gerardeb mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a polemist in my battle for words ne'er could be there be. Sorry, battle, did you say? Who is the stronger? Who is the stronger? Hamlet? Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances, at least. So, fair maiden, good gentleman, I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. It seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Soseki and that man as lodgers, the Gerardeb house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over.